This is Jared Horak for today's RacingDigest.com, and in this week's video we're going to recap Kentucky Derby 2017, we're going to preview the Preakness Stakes coming up in 9 days, and we're also going to look at the Las Barreras Stakes at Santa Anita Park on Saturday, May 13th. But let's recap that Kentucky Derby, and Always Dreaming was able to get the job done. He was my top choice in the Kentucky Derby. And also for today's Racing Digest, he topped the charting. For the fractional charting, he figured to run the fastest 10 furlongs, and he did just that. He also had that dangerous early pressing speed, and we talked about that in these other videos. Horses like Nyquist winning the Kentucky Derby in 2016, American Pharoah winning the Triple Crown the year before, and then the year before that, California Chrome. All of those horses, we said, had that good early pressing speed, and they had good quality speed figures, including the comprehensive performance ratings, the CPRs that we mentioned, that overall performance rating, horses with that tactical speed and that finishing kick. And Always Dreaming had all those characteristics, and he was able to get the job done. And he ran a 102 fire rating and a 148 CPR in the Florida Derby, and he figured to improve off of his career best numbers 5 weeks later, and he did just that in the Kentucky Derby. He was all over the pace, and he was able to pull clear and win nicely for trainer Todd Pletcher. John Velasquez rode. The second place finisher was Looking at Lee. He came from the back of the pack, and he rallied to finish second. Battle of Midway was third, and then Classic Empire finished a troubled fourth. And McCracken was one that was highly regarded, and I liked him a little bit as well. But if you looked at his today's Racing Digest speed figures, he was a bit light on numbers, and he took too much money based on how fast he was. He truly was. And he disappointed a bit there, but that wasn't shocking. But Always Dreaming was expected to run well, and he did just that. Now he comes to the Preakness Stakes. As I said, 9 days from Preakness 2017 now. Looks like we have 11 horses possible for the Preakness at this point, including Always Dreaming, your Derby winner. He's now 4 for 4 in 2 turn races, and he's won those 4 races by a combined 23 lengths. So he really hasn't been challenged this year. He should be up on the pace. Other horses that ran in the Derby that are going to come back in the Preakness, Looking at Lee, your late runner from post 1 to finish second in the Kentucky Derby. He's going to try to get involved late again. And we've seen some of these late runners in the Derby and the Preakness that have been able to complete the exact. The Golden Soul was one a few years back. Commanding Curve in the Derby finished second. Tale of Verve finished second behind American Pharoah in the Preakness. Cherry Wine last year behind Exaggerator was able to get up for second. So we've seen these late runners do well, and he'll try to get involved late again. Now Classic Empire, 4th in the Derby, had a lot of trouble. He would have been closer with a better trip. Don't know how much closer. Don't know if he would have been able to beat Always Dreaming, but he certainly would have been closer with a different trip. His biggest problem is he still hasn't run back to his 100 fire number, 140 CPR that he earned in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile as a 2-year-old. He had a lot of trouble this year getting back to the races, and now maybe he's finally able to he's put some races together. Now he's finally able maybe to bounce back and run his best race. But the Preakness will be his 3rd race in 5 weeks, so I'm not sure that he's going to be able to run a career top after so many races. Gunavera finished 7th in the Kentucky Derby. He's one of the fastest finishers in the stretch, and he will be finishing. And he did run a 100 fire number and a 156 CPR in the Fountain of Youth, but that was a few starts back now, and he just hasn't been able to get back to that form. Hence, he ended up finishing 11th in the Kentucky Derby. He won the Sunland Derby before that. He was a live long shot for me in the Kentucky Derby, along with Looking at Lee, who I thought had a decent shot to hit the board. And Looking at Lee was one of the fastest in the stretch as well, so you knew he would be finishing. And Looking at Lee and Hence and Gunavera will all try to be getting involved late in the Preakness Stakes. Now we have 6 new shooters. Cloud Computing for trainer Chad Brown. He was 3rd in the Wood Memorial last time out, and he'll be probably trying to strike from mid-pack. He's very lightly raced. He's only run 3 times so far. Conquest Mo Money. He was 2nd in the Arkansas Derby. He had enough points to run in the Kentucky Derby, but for him, they didn't want to put up the money, but they did supplement him to the Preakness for $150,000, and he will impact the pace. He does like to run on or near the lead, so he should be up there early with Always Dreaming. Multiplier, he won the Illinois Derby last time, and he'll try to strike from mid-pack. Another horse that will most likely impact the pace in the Preakness, Royal Mo. He finished 3rd in the Santa Anita Derby, and he earned a 94 fire rating and a 126 CPR in that Santa Anita Derby. And he's one that wanted to run in the Kentucky Derby, but he was on the also eligible list. He needed 1 scratch. He didn't get it for trainer John Sheriffs. And now Gary Stevens and John Sherris will team up with this one in the Preakness Stakes, and he should be a pace factor. A senior investment for trainer Ken McPeak, first in the Lexington Stakes. He's a big late runner, so he'll sit back and try to make that late run, along with Term of Art for trainer Doug O'Neill. He's one that can finish. He was 7th in the Santa Anita Derby, but he just doesn't have the speed to impact a race like the Preakness. I wouldn't be shocked if maybe he could get up for 4th, but he just doesn't have the speed. So those are the horses that are going to run in the Preakness Stakes at this point, 9 days out. And we'll be live on site at Pimlico next week shooting some races, shooting some videos, and as we watch these horses work out for Preakness Stakes 2017. So tune in for those videos next week. And we're going to look at the stakes race this week for Santa Anita Park. The feature race is for 3-year-olds. We're going to stay right on that 3-year-old trail. This is the Grade 3 Las Barrera for 3-year-olds going 7 furlongs on the main track at Santa Anita for Saturday, May 13th. And that'll be the 5th race. And some horses that were on the Kentucky Derby Trail are now cutting back in distance. American Anthem for trainer Bob Baffert. Bob Baffert is 6 for his last 15 at Santa Anita. So he's been on a roll lately. And this one's going to go route to sprint. He disappointed in the Santa Anita Derby. He disappointed at Oaklawn Park before that. And maybe he'll run better in a sprint, but he's not going to offer a lot of value. And his best career speed figure was earned in the slop. Kim Bear, right next to him, he ended up running okay in the Santa Anita Derby. He rallied it and he passed some runners. Ended up finishing 6th in the Santa Anita Derby. He earned a 94 fire rating and a 121 CPR. But the race, I think, that really makes him a threat in the Las Barrera, his maiden win at 7 furlongs at Santa Anita prior to the Santa Anita Derby. He earned a 90 fire rating and a 129 CPR, tracking the pace. He's 3-1. He'll offer more value than American Anthem. Some others to consider in here, Bobby Abu Dhabi, but he earned his best number off of a layoff, and maybe he needs more time between starts. Taxman's Quest, he's light on numbers. You have Sutton's Impact. He won a maiden claiming 75,000 in his debut, getting an 86 fire number and a 125 CPR. But this is a big step up for his second career start. Aristocratic, last time out, looked good, earning an 83 fire, a 118 CPR. But he switches barns again. He's already in his 3rd barn. So I don't like all those changes. So looking at this Las Barrera Stakes, I think Kim Bear is the best play in this race. Cutting back to his winning distance. Joe Talamo says he's better sprinting, and he's been on his when he's been working lately. Talamo's been riding. He thinks he's ready to run a big race, based on that number he earned at Santa Anita in his maiden win at 7 furlongs. I think Kim Bear is the play. So we'll make a win bet on Kim Bear in that Grade 3 Las Barrera Stakes at Santa Anita on May 13th. Now again, for the Preakness Stakes, we're going to be shooting on-site coverage for today's Racing Digest all Preakness week. So tune in to those videos. I'll be selling my full card from Preakness Day. It'll be at todaysracingdigest.com as well. And then the digest, for the full digest for Preakness Day, is going to be a great product that you'll be able to purchase next week as well. So go over to Today's Racing Digest for more information. And until next week's Preakness videos, good luck at the races.